Hello, and welcome to Power On Podcast. Cowboy Bebop, Bebop, I don't know, boop 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 beep beep, bop, boop boop. I can't do it, whatever, don't care, this isn't a scat show. I'm one of your hosts, Taylor. Hello. And with me is perhaps a sensational scat performer, Sushi B. How you doing?
No, I can't say I have any scat abilities.
No?
You may be full of scat.
Oh, no. Oh, goodness gracious.
I've never attempted to perform scat. But
Even with the song, with the Scatman song?
The
Yeah,
Scatman John. Oh, perhaps at some point, but not with any real conviction. No aspirations.
Yeah, no aspirations for the scat. Yeah.
I mean, when was scat? Was scat like the 30s, 40s?
Honestly, I don't know. I could tell you.
I don't know when it would have had its heyday, but I feel like it would have been a long time ago.
I know dude saying Scatman looked like he kind of was ripped out of the 30s or something, so.
Yeah. Could have been. Yeah.
But. Well, we're going to be talking about episode 10, Ganymede Elegy. There is no scat, spoiler alert. So, but yeah, anyways, this is a deep dive into my favorite of the crew. That's a Mr. Jet Black. Mr. Black. And,
you're going to listen to all of the rules set by Mr. Black.
Mr. Black.
Your new best friend is Mr. Black.
Mr. Black.
And then doesn't he introduce the three hoodlums, Curry, Jimbo, and what is the other guy's name? It's not coming to mind. Alright, what?
Jimbo's the only one I could think of.
Jimbo.
Yeah.
Kearney's the guy with the shaved head. Can't remember the guy with the
okay.
hair.
Yeah. Oh boy. Anyways, yeah. This was one of those that I actually caught very early on in the series. Like, I can't tell like exactly how early on, but I do remember this one being one of the early episodes that I would end up catching on a fairly regular basis, and I don't know why. But it works for me. Because, yeah, like I said, Jet Black's my favorite character, so this episode has, for me, biasly so, has a lot already going for it.
That's fair.
I'll just put that out front. So there's no, not hiding behind anything. There's no tricky 3-card Monty being played. No, yeah. So.
No extra ace up the sleeve.
Nope, nothing like that. When it comes to the things that I like about this episode, it is nice to get some very heavy details on a character, especially for their past. It is nice to finally get one 10 episodes in.
Yep, I agree with that.
And it's not, how to put it? It's not like it's like you're getting hit over the head by it. It's sort of like it just comes up naturally as the episode comes along. That's I like and stuff. You know, it starts with Jet kind of being stuck in this sort of reminiscent thing with the very overly heavy-handed, in a way, metaphorical bit with the watch and it being broken and he's frozen in time. But just because it's heavy-handed doesn't mean it doesn't work. So, but yeah.
15-hour watch.
Yeah, 15-hour watch. I mean, it is Ganymede. Come on now. Like, there's some differences there in time and everything. I also question sunbathing on there, but that's I don't know how that would work out unless, we're playing by Space Odyssey 2010 rules. I think that's when that happens. Is it 2010? Spoiler alert. In one of the books, Jupiter becomes the second sun. You just throw that out there because sure, why not? They're great books. Really, really highly suggest if you liked Space Odyssey, you might want to check out the other parts of the story because there's a whole slew of them. And there was a second movie, not nearly as awful as you would think. Not nearly good, but so, as I'd say, what are some things yourself that you really like in this episode?
Yeah, same as you. Jet was kind of pushed off to the side quite a bit for a number of episodes up to this one, so it was nice that it was a little more centered on him and getting at least a bit of his personal history and backstory. And kind of a relatable thing probably for many people if you're getting to a certain age, and maybe not the entire scenario might not be exactly the same, but just to have had perhaps a relationship, romantic or otherwise, where something just immediately changed, and you for some part of you feel you moved on, but you were hanging on to whether it's a memento or just a moment or an idea, and how it continues to affect you even though you try not to let it. But those are kind of moments that everybody's going to experience at some point in their life. So I like that relatability to Jet and probably to many people.
Yeah, that's a good point of the mementos, or just that, because it comes up partway through the episode, right? That when he visits her and everything, that there's just this, I didn't come here to blame you or anything. I just want to know why. And he doesn't get a good answer there at first, and probably not a good answer at the end either, depending on how you want to be as a person and stuff like that. But it is, it's interesting that he's like, he's a very, very simplistic person. Very, very simple drives and motivations. That's, I would say probably motivations. It's not necessarily like he has like this two-pronged problem. One is what happens when he's working, that comes up in another episode, and then there's this that's just on a more personal level, right? And these just gut punches that just kind of put him in place. He just kind of buckles, and he doesn't try to move forward. Instead, he's just kind of, he's like, hey, how did he put it? He's just like, didn't need anything else, just as long as you were there. But, when you left and everything, it just didn't seem real. And then little by little, things went numb. And then told myself I was going to wait 6 months. And when you didn't come back, that's when I just kind of left. And it's just this, like you said, it's a relatable, kind of comfortably numb feeling that people will get into, because then it's, you're being, any sort of relationship, there's always that like vulnerability to whatever varying degree.
Right.
And to just have that, just be like, oh, poke, I'm out, peace, farewell,
right.
Das Verdañas, Sarabada. Like really? You couldn't have even had the, and that's, I think, what's a great bit of that. It's like there's not this like fiery indignation of you've wronged me in some way. It's just like, we both know the score. Like, what you did was not appropriate. Like, just help simple old Jet figure out what it is, what's going on here. Like, come on now.
Yeah, and he's got a very... Jet strikes me as the kind of person that if he lets you in on into the inside of his circle, his realm of trust, love, he's going to be very devoted and faithful. And so, for this to occur to him, this type of situation, that really, really stings. Because I don't know if it's that so much that he's not a trustworthy person to others, but it's just once you are there, he will give you everything that he possibly can as a person. And so for someone to walk away and it's not that the reason isn't valid. Like, if you've ever been in that situation, it's hard to accept, but over time the logic will kick in and help you understand. You may not still want to accept it, but you're like, okay, like I can fathom why this happened. And Jet's the kind of person I think that will reflect on that to some degree. The numb part is a really good point that you made of just, there wasn't a distraction after, right? This happened, and because it happened so abruptly, and there is no real answers for anything, you don't know what to do. You're spinning your wheels, like he said, for 6 months. And then you finally get numb enough that you just kind of move into something else where if maybe something happened where it's like, okay, he understood, like he got a better, clearer picture as to why she left. And then, he had something to fall back into right away, which he didn't. Like, he probably fell into work, I'm guessing. That seems to be Jet's personality.
Right.
But it wasn't something fulfilling to fill that massive void that is now there, or was there.
Right, it's preoccupying him. Like, if you don't mind me going on a little bit of a personal side tangent on this, like, I can relate to this to a degree much more after college than I did when I initially watched it. And that's not to say I didn't like the episode to begin with and whatnot, but I had been dating somebody for most of my time in college, and she was an exchange student. So we met like my sophomore year, but she was kind of like a year ahead of me, sort of thing. So she had already graduated, and after I had studied there for the year and came back to finish, she came back she visited in the States and was like during winter vacation, and she broke up with me. And it was like, it kind of, looking back at it, like, if I was to look at like some of the messages and stuff, I could probably see that there was something there that's gnawing at her. But like, her big thing it's just like, how she put it was like, I can't trust that you'll be able to get back here, because it's not like a guarantee that, I can, after you graduate, to just be like, oh, I'll just be able to get over there and work and it'll be easy peasy lemon squeezy. Right. And like, that was a gut punch, and because I wasn't expecting it, for one. Here I just saw this person about 4 months ago crying their eyes out because I was heading back to the States. And then all of a sudden this, and it's just the like, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't even get a chance to prove myself, sort of thing. It's like, he couldn't even like give me the opportunity to try to figure it out. And so to have that gut punch, and then that cold cut of, hey, we can't do this. We've been dating. I mean, it's not like it's forever, but 3.5 years or so. It's a pretty long time in college years. Yep. Right. And like just that cold cut of it, the abruptness of it, and just having to reason out. Because I would say I'm fairly similar in a lot of ways to Jet with how you described him as being this, not necessarily aloof or standoffish, but you've got to earn my trust before I'm willing to kind of go for you. Just because you just get burned so much, and plus you only have so much energy. You can't just give it to everybody.
Right.
And I myself went through that sort of numbness. However, because I still had some idea of, hey, even if this relationship's done, like, I still want to go back. Like, it's not hinging, and this is Jet's problem, right? He hinges everything on, well, as long as she's there, kind of thing. Like, that's his rock, instead of turning that onto himself to be like, yes, her being there is fantastic, but I've got to be able to drive myself, if that makes any sense. And so, like, for me, that's what was able to keep me from just, I had my little sad pity party to myself. I didn't tell anybody. Like, it's not their business. They can't help me with it, rightly or wrongly, whatever sort of mentality. It's like, it's my thing to shoulder. But I just was like, okay, I've had enough pity on myself. I still got a semester of school I need to finish. Let's get through this. Let's get back over there. Not even with thinking like, oh, I can win her back, sort of things. Like, no, like, that's there's the moment you kind of say, I don't know if I can trust you to get back. Like, I can't. That's it. Like, all right, if you don't have faith in me to do this, then, like, what else out there? You're gonna not have faith for me. I'll just prove you wrong. Rightly or wrong. Not really in that malicious sense.
No,
right?
but
it's
yeah.
like,
I can make it on my, I can make it. I can make it on my own if I have to.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not incumbent on you.
Yeah, I think one other thing here too is the, not maybe everyone's not had this type of relationship. Possibly there probably are many people that have. Again, it doesn't have to be romantic. It can be a friend relationship or whatever. But just that sort of, something occurs and it causes that rift or break, and then when you go back, I guess a romantic relationship is probably more realistic in this regard. We're more likely to fall in this trap, but there's that one little glimmer in your mind that, between the two people, there's always usually one party where there's like this sliver of doubt in your mind that, or a sliver of hope almost, right? That, oh yeah, maybe I can turn this around if we
the embers of love still burn.
Yeah, because you never stop caring for the person. You never stop caring about the person or whatever, right? But something occurred that caused this relationship to no longer be. And that person probably does have something there still, but they've also romantically have moved into other parts of their life, depending on the length of time and everything. But, I think it's fair to say that there's still, unless it's like a really devastating breakup because somebody's cheated or something like that, right? If it's like drifting apart, like in this scenario, to whatever degree that is, I think, you still, it's hard to explain it, but there's still the level of love is still there, but it's not in that same romantic realm anymore.
It's different than like a platonic, but it's still and I feel this way even just talking to you or Gregor's. Hi, Greg. I don't know if you're listening, but I was talking to him earlier today and stuff of just, I care for you. I hope you're doing well. And that sort of thing. And it's really about like all it kind of. It's just, but there's just that weird weird or just different sort of coloration with it, with just the, the former romanticism involved with it and everything.
Right. Yeah, and I think Jet is a bit of that hopeless romantic, right? Like, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen it countless times in a Hollywood movie, in a book, right? That idea that, and things are changing, I think, in the way writing is dealt with and stuff now. Now we're kind of getting into, and it's not necessarily wrong, but that sort of, like the guy, I can't explain, but you hear like the stories of like, it's actually creepy that the guy's like hanging on to the idea of the relationship and stuff. But I didn't find that in this case. Like, I found it a bit more of a human side relatability there. It just so happens that it's a man on this side of it. Like, if this was switched, I would still probably feel the same if it was a female and the guy had moved on or whatever, right?
Right. Well, but like I said, he's not necessarily like latched to her. I think more of just wanting to know why. Mm-hmm. And that also could feed into the whole detective aspect. I mean, you see it in his hobbies and everything of trying to satiate or scratch that itch. Mm-hmm. To have this be such an unexplained blip probably gnaws at him in that regard.
Yeah.
I mean, because you see him flip the switch when when Spike tells him, hey, this is the bounty and it's for him. And he's like, oh, this is my old beat. I'll take care of it. Right. Like, this is it ain't nothing but, like, I'll take care of this business.
Mm-hmm. And then with that too, Jet knowing the bounds that somebody would go to catch a bounty, and he's trying to protect both of them, truthfully. It's probably not a great feeling to see, your former flame with somebody else and being close to them and everything. But again, that ember of like, you would still go to the ends of the earth to protect or support them in your own way, even though it's changed now. Mm-hmm. And this is Jet's way of doing that. He knows that things can get really bad if he is not the one to bring. He says that something, right? Like, I have to be the one to bring them in.
If not, somebody's going to come in and you're now an accomplice.
Right.
And this is where
it's going to get ugly.
Where her reasoning that she gives initially is just kind of time. You thought time stood still, blah, 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 blah. But like when she finally gives the truth on the matter of, hey, and this is a very fair justification to make, right? It's like, you won't, like, you're always right on this sort of thing. Like, that's just where you should have talked to him to be like, hey, like, instead of just, peace, I'm out. But in the same hand, Jet can probably be a very stubborn person on this sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So like, there could have been plenty of instances where she did try to be like, hey, let's do this sort of thing. You get into the weird kind of issues of, hey, I just want to make my own decisions, even if they're terrible mistakes, is the line that Lisa gives. And it's just like, I get it, but in the same hand, it's an infuriating thing to say, because it's like, okay, I guess, but shouldn't you just know better? Like, that's my thing. It's like, be an adult. Mm-hmm. Like, sure, you're owning up to making bad decisions and stuff, but how about not getting into the bad decisions in the first place?
Right.
Like,
well, and I took that as, and I took that as more of a, Jet's a protective type person, and so mm-hmm. I didn't think of it as like super extreme when she's saying that. More so like he was probably fairly mature at the time, like age-wise, like, or at least, presented as such. And mm-hmm. so, he wanted to protect her from doing the wrong thing, if you will, or whatever. Mm. But it could have been really overbearing. It could have been as simple as like, oh, you really shouldn't drink alcohol because of this, and this reason. Like, it could have been really overbearing, right? And simple things
like a domineering
kind
of thing. It's like,
it would be really neat to see what that relationship could have been like, mm-hmm. If this was like a prequel or something with these characters. It would be neat. Like, I know that's not necessary, but it would be pretty neat to see that and just, to see what did this relationship, how long did it actually last, and I could see Jet being super protective of her, and that being the endearing thing about him, right? If she's kind of an innocent soul, and him being a little bit more, what's the word I
An
want?
old soul,
Not an
maybe.
old soul, but just like having had more life experience to draw upon, at least, or seemingly so. So yeah, I don't know. It's a
I think
tough.
we call those sticks in a mud.
Yeah, maybe it's a tough relationship point to be in, and like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if she tried to talk to Jet and him being like, oh, I had a long day today, or can we not talk about this now, or you know. You
Just
know how I
know,
feel about
don't.
that. Yeah, like
right.
So
because you see how he treats how he treats the others, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where he's just he kind of has this like, what are you idiots doing? Like,
there's a
don't you know that I already have the answer?
Yeah, like that natural paternal type energy that emanates from him. But sometimes that's what's blinding him at the same point of you got to let people be able to do some stuff.
Right. Yeah. It's the to be the like historical dork with like the Lacedaemonians and stuff. They were so rigid in their beliefs and stuff. What it did is by the time the Romans came and conquered Greece, they were just a tiny little village. And you're like what happened to you guys? You were Sparta. You were kicking Persians around and all this stuff. What happened to great Sparta? It's that because they were just so rigid and just so confined that they didn't ever adapt
same belief and
So
well, we really lingered on that point, but this is a huge point in this episode. Obviously, we both found it interesting enough to reflect and talk about. But some of the other good things in here. It's nice that Spike is still somewhat involved in the episode, but he's definitely relegated to the sideline enough that
yes,
so I'm really happy with that. Faye is almost non-existent in the episode, more or less, and same and Ed too. Like Ed, basically, I think has 2 scenes maybe, if that. Rubbing her face against
right at
the thigh.
Beginning and then right at the beginning and then kind of interacting with Faye. I think it might be 3 technically. I think I could be wrong.
For just joining the crew and then to already regulated the sideline pretty quick.
Well, that and also the comedy of the episode is very front loaded, right? So it sort of lulls you in with this goofy scene, and then you get the flashback, and then a little bit more goofy, and then it just kind of it's gone. You don't really get a lot of probably the most, and it's not humor isn't funny, but just the like, isn't it ironic kind of thing, or at least that kind of vibe is when Spike's giving Jet that information, and then Jet's like, I got this and stuff, and Spike's like, you're not gonna let him get away, are you? And he's like, more of that spiel, and then Spike's like, justice and duty, huh? And then he kind of flies off, and he's like, hey, I gotcha. You know what I mean? It's not like it's a funny thing, but it's kind of something to break that just kind of dour disposition that sort of hangs throughout the episode. So,
yep.
That and also the fish, catching the fish. There's a silly point with the fish. I like that. I thought that was kind of cute, and it was nice to see Spike working on his swordfish. So,
yeah, for once instead of Jet.
Yeah, right.
Well, we've seen him cleaning it before that too.
So that's fair. I guess making like actual repairs? Question mark.
Seem to be attempting such. What else?
I like the cut of when Rent's trying to light his lighter, and then it kind of bleeds into the memory sequence, and you still can hear the lighter trying to catch, and it's just like it's just a really cool just way of just sort of expressing that anxiousness that he's feeling and everything. And it is a nice dichotomy to see between Jet and then somebody like Rint, where you're like, dude, get it together.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
What is
like, come on now.
Guy?
Well, you could go into that. I mean,
but
that's, like, it's the heart doesn't have eyes. Like, that's really, I just kind of like, that's just how it is. It's just going to be how it is. But it's like, part of the problem is because he's like this, and his way of trying to me, I think, like, as dorky as this is going to sound, like, I think it's a nice juxtaposition between, like, how somebody can be versus how somebody shouldn't be. Like, with Jet and Rint. Like, here's somebody who, righteously so, is trying to do a good by helping his girlfriend with this loan shark nonsense. However, in going too far, now he tries to avoid any sort of retribution for it, and is just wrangles her into it. There's no thinking. It's just, oh, we've just got to flee and whatnot. And it's like, have some sense. What are you doing? Like, and by the end of it, Jet's like, he could probably get out pretty easily on self-defense. What the situation is, and here you guys are acting the goobers about it. Like, like, what are you doing?
Right. Well, I guess if you're in that scenario and you're going to panic, obviously, right? So, and he just doesn't seem like he's a very resourceful person on the whole. Like he's attempting to be as such, but he's not thinking things through as clearly as he probably should be.
Yeah, like, it's probably the big difference between somebody who may have at least some sort of not forward, but at least just eye to the horizon.
A plan.
To somebody who's just, like, you don't really. Jet does come up with plans and stuff a lot, right? You see it when he's getting the bounties and stuff. It strikes me as there's not really much of a plan. So, odds are, unless something starts shaping up, they're probably going to be on the bad end of Ganymede for a while, for a long time.
I like that Jet doesn't give up here, and in more ways than one. Obviously, he doesn't give up on the chase, but more so, the idea of the black dog piece is I think identifying. He never lets a man go free or whatever. He always gets his man or whatever. But
his teeth sinks in.
Yeah, but it's again, it goes beyond that. I think it's some of that psychological stuff of, like, he recognizes that Rint is not the right man for Lisa, but he's honoring her choice now, which maybe he didn't do in the past. And he's devoted and cares and respects enough to be like, if this is what you want, I will support you. Like, I will help you see this through. No matter what the outcome is. And he's in his head calculating, okay, this guy's a total putz and idiot and putting himself in this bad position, but I think I can help. Or, like, deep down he probably doesn't really want to help, but he's going to.
Well, I think that's it, though, right? Is that, like, he does that, and then it's seemingly, for all intents and purposes, that, like, that's it. There's no, like, I'm not going to make an effort to try to, like, win this person back. Like, he's, okay, this is your choice. I don't really think this is a good choice. Have fun with that. Like, as maybe cold as that may come off, but it's like that's the way that he has to respect it without being like whatever. And that's probably also plays into him just not being around for 7-8 years. It's just like I just don't want to I don't want to put myself in the position of even what's that? It's like if you have if you don't delete the number of your ex, it just each day that passes, there's always shortly after breakup, there's always that it just sort of ratchets it up. Oh, I should say something. I should say something. I should say something. And then you text something, and you just make things worse. And it's like just delete
or
the
vice
number.
Versa or whatever.
Right. Just.
Or you see each other too soon after, or whatever, and there's still again some of that lingering energy that's around the situation. It could be good or bad, but it's probably not going to really amount to what you might want it to amount to. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so he's just like, I'm just gonna get out of Dodge.
Yep.
Not even gonna.
Yep.
So, anything in this episode you don't like?
Not overtly. I don't think of. Yeah, I can't think of anything that's really standing out where I'm just like, ugh. I think Ed and Faye is. It's enough, right? For just being a little bit of a side slapsticky type humor portion, and then once they really get into the meat of the episode, it does a good job of sticking to making sure that there's a good follow through.
Yeah, I can't really think of too much in bad.
Pretty bad gun shooting.
Well, actually, I really like how it changes to her perspective and the guns rattling, and it's I really like that. Yeah, she could learn how to.
She's just a bad shot. I don't mind that too. It's just
yeah.
And again, maybe it's does she really intensely want to shoot him? No,
right?
Which he's totally confident she's not going
And
to shoot him.
here's 2 more strikes. This isn't bad, but this is 2 more strikes into Spike's character that just not a good person at times. I'm going to be cheeky and purposely fire, miss you while shooting, or but that sort of
to panic them.
Right. That's a little psychopathic. There's something there that's a little off, but then also as well is that when he's doing repairs on his ship, and then he gets that call from Spike's old buddy, and then he hears about that, and then the connection and everything, and then he immediately goes, so what's the bounty? He is falling back into that thing that a certain character from a couple episodes ago was like, boy golly gee, I really dislike these bounty hunter people.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll keep on tightening those screws here and there.
Yeah. But an interesting point about for Jet is that you just said, or we were just talking about, in that support for this decision and so forth. There's a key moment near the end of this whole franchise setting that flips that idea on its head, and it's interesting. I know it's not for a while, and I haven't seen this for a while, but I know that was something that really stuck out to me from that watch long ago. So I'll be curious once we get to that point here, and maybe try and reflect on it from this circumstance to that circumstance.
Yeah. Any lines that stick out to you before we get into the bounty?
I like there's some good philosophy and stuff here about time, but I do like Jet's one about being a cop, and it was his beat. I'm the black dog. When I bite, I don't let go. And I have no regrets about her, but I'll settle this score on my own turf. Yeah, I like that one. And then Ed said something earlier that it's escaped me now, but she said something that kind of made me smirk. I forget what it was.
When Faye's talking about it's it's ultimately futile when it comes to sunbathing, or and she's like, yeah, futile.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. It was probably that.
Or
she sure tanned. She sure tanned quick too, hey?
Right.
And then by next episode, it's gone.
Yep, right. Just we get that Irish blood going through her or something. But she tanned. She didn't burn, so no, I guess it's not quite right.
The oil did its job, or whatever she did.
Right. So, but yeah, for the bounty for this one, so we have the capture there for 800K, and then there is the rent bounty of 1.8 million. So it's 2.6. And since you did make mention of this, I will step first.
Well, wait, I was thinking about this some more. I think we got to get to the midway point. I think after episode 13, because then you do the back end where you go first.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
I see how it is.
Well,
wow, I was trying to be fair. Okay.
Well, I was just like, well, I've gone this far. Why not at least get to the midpoint?
All right. Okay. Well, yeah. Well, so yeah, what do you got going?
And I know we did not discuss that, but it came to mind the other day. I think for me, it was 2.6. You said
2.6.
2.6 million. Yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. I like that it's somber. I like that there's so much to explore with Jet here and questions to keep asking about the character. And I am going to give this a very hearty 10 million bounty.
Oh, there you go. Well, I'm going to go a little above and beyond here. I'm going to go with 12 because I don't know, the number 12 million. Like I said, this is one of my favorite episodes. I really enjoy this episode a lot. And it's not been one that has wavered in my appreciation for it. Every time I watch it, I'm just like, yeah, it's a good episode.
Very cool.
Okay, I enjoyed this. So, all right. Anything else you want to add before we skedaddle?
Do you think Jet dove right back in and tried to catch that watchboard sink to the bottom of the wall?
No.
Yeah, because I can still see Jet carrying that sentiment, right? He's removed the item that would trigger him.
Right.
But I'm sure that the sentiment's still within the heart.
Yeah, and I think as time now is quote unquote moving forward, that'll what is that? Time heals all wounds sort of thing. That'll soften, be whatever sort of scar tissue it is emotionally, and. Yeah, he should have done it in the first place, but because he was so ardent in wanting to get an answer, but so, he wanted the answer, but he knew he didn't have a good way of really broaching it outside of coming off like a psychopath. You know what I mean? Like, give me the answer. What is it?
Yeah.
Christian Bale Batman.
Well, and where are the drugs going? Answer to me. Yeah, and it's hard to want you want the answer, but you don't want it at the same time, and it's hard to get to that point where you can accept, you can move on, and you can respect the answer, and it still stings, and it still sucks, and it still hurts, but you can move forward, and it'll always be there, but hopefully you can turn that and remember the good things about what caused, like before what caused it. I think Jet's the kind of person that can do that.
And now, especially, that's the thing you need to learn is like you don't really need the answer. You just need to move forward. Like, just move forward. Come on, buddy.
Yep.
So, yeah. All right, well, that is it from Mr. Sushi Bee and myself. If you enjoyed this episode, please let us know your favorite parts. If there's something, maybe you don't have to get as personal as I did and share that sort of thing, but I don't know. If you can be like, yeah, I totally feel you on that, you can just say that. Yeah, I totally feel you on that. Or if you're just like, you're totally off base, let us know. That's really about it. So thanks for listening, and see you, Space Cowboy.